Hi, and welcome to another long overdue edition of Forethoughts, a 4-5 podcast on international arbitration. This has been the first on arbitration, at least, that we've done in quite some time. So apologies for the long delay. You have Paul Cohen here with Amrit Dhanoa, both of the 4-5 International Arbitration Group. Say hi, Amrit.
Hello, everyone. Amrit Dhanoa here, also a barrister at 45 Grosvenor Square.
So last time we did one of these, and again, I do apologize for those of you desperate to hear more from us out there. I'm sure there are many of you. This was probably in the early stages of the pandemic a couple of years ago. And this was actually a video podcast, if there is such a thing. I'm not sure if the technical definition of podcast encompasses video as well. But to give you a sense of how long ago it was, in a relatively short time ago, how much things have changed, what we were doing was comparing different platforms for video conferencing, i.e., Zoom and Teams and Blue Jeans, which you don't hear much about these days, and seeing their relative benefits and demerits for potential arbitral hearings. So Amrit was, of course, involved with me in making those. It does seem like longer than 2 years ago, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely, it does. And I think what it shows us now is just sort of how commonplace sort of using remote technology for hearings has now become since the pandemic. And at that time when we were recording those sessions, we were obviously looking at all the issues that were involved in having virtual hearings, what that means for various things, for example, witness examination, as you say, looking at various different platforms that can be used for virtual hearings and what the advantages and disadvantages were of each of those. But of course, time has moved on from then. And as I say, it now doesn't seem so much of a new normal as it did then. And right. Now we're looking a lot more forward in terms of the technology that is available, especially in relation to arbitration, but more broadly, many types of alternative dispute resolution.
Right, exactly, Amrit. And so, as I guess it's a cautionary tale for us because it does show you how quickly events can overtake you. So the idea now of showing people how you might conduct a Zoom hearing would be risible because everyone's done it. But it's also given us, I think, the encouragement to focus on, as you said, Amrit, emerging technologies and emergent technologies to see exactly what's out there and what could be out there and what's next for arbitration, arbitral hearings and arbitral practice. And that's really why the conference that we had also planned for 2020, the 4-5 conference, has now been sort of rejiggered and rebranded to be a technology conference, hasn't it, Amrit?
It has indeed. And at the time, when we look back now, the conference that we were planning, of course, was being postponed because of the pandemic. But what it gave us was an opportunity to actually consider the field of international arbitration and actually what would be more useful for people attending. And of course, what we saw was this acceleration of the use of technology, not just within international arbitration, but of course across a wide variety of industries. But what it allowed us to do was just sort of stop and think, what would be most useful for people attending a conference on international arbitration? And I think, Paul, you as the brainchild behind it all, rightly came up with the idea that putting a conference together that focused on technology being used in arbitration and where technology might take us in this field in terms of efficiencies would be a perfect sort of area in which to put something together. And as we say, there is so much that can be said about sort of the forward-looking technology available and all the exciting things that brings with it. So I think what would be quite helpful is perhaps if we even looked at what the conference might actually be focusing on. So, Paul, what sort of different areas are we going to be covering at the conference?
Yeah, thanks, Amrit. I don't know about brainchild, by the way, maybe just child, but the, um, the rejiggered conference is now happening on the 16th of September in London at the Institute for Engineering Technology, and its title is now FOTA, F-O-T-A, the Future of Technology in Arbitration. Those of you curious to check it out can go to www.fotaglobal, FOTAGLOBAL.com, I believe. I will double check on the .com, but I'm fairly sure it's a .com. 45, of course, is a founding and principal sponsor, and Amrit and I have been involved in its planning. Well, when it was in a different phase. But as Amrit said, we really want to focus on these different technologies in a unique way, in a way that hasn't been done or has been done really in passing in the arbitration context. So we're looking at, well, let's say 3.5. I could say 4.5 because that's sort of 4 to 5, but it's really 3.5. Different things that we're doing. We're looking at audiovisual ways other than Zoom and 2D virtual hearings, audiovisual ways, new audiovisual ways, different audiovisual ways of communicating in arbitral hearings or in pre-hearings. We're looking at some of the new technologies that are poised to form disputes of the future and already forming the basis for some fairly substantial disputes. And by these, I mean principally cryptocurrency type stuff and other blockchain and distributed ledger technology stuff. And we are looking, of course, at artificial intelligence and the ways in which artificial intelligence is increasingly making inroads into the arbitration space, both in the way that we select arbitrators, in the way that we consider evidence and sift evidence, and maybe going forward in other ways. The other bit that I was talking about is what really makes, I think, this conference unique, is that we will actually be having a curated selection of technologies on hand, curated by a technology selection panel, a group of 5 independent practitioners, knowledgeable both in the law and in technology. And there are not that many people still out there who can really do both. And they will be showing us some of the best and brightest stuff out there, the newest and latest stuff out there, and also the stuff that's over the horizon. So it's going to be a really interesting opportunity to test out some of these things that we've heard about or thought about, but not actually seen, and we'll be able to experience them. So, for example, I'm giving away something of a secret if you're listening to this, but we will actually be having a live interactive hologram from prominent arbitration practitioner who won't be on site, will be hologramming in. I'm not sure whether there's a word for that rather than zooming in, but anyway, they will be hologramming in and we'll be having a discussion with them via hologram. So that, to our knowledge, has never been done before. We will have some AR and VR technology on hand to demo. We will have some drone stuff, some demos of the use of drone footage in evidence in international arbitrations, and all sorts of other goodies. So I'm really looking forward to it because it's going to be unlike anything that's been done before. So I don't know. I'm very excited. I don't know about you, Amrit, but I can't wait.
No, absolutely. I am too. Very much looking forward to seeing the hologram in action. I can't say I have seen that before, so very much looking forward to seeing it. And who knows, in a few years' time, it may, of course, be commonplace as virtual hearings are in the arbitration space. Who knows where we might be? But as you say, this is a particularly unique conference in the sense, as you've said, for eminent arbitration practitioners to come together in a unique format with technology professionals, and actually to look, explore, and critique the technologies we have at the moment, which will be displayed through the showcase, but of course those that yet haven't been even created. And the arbitration practitioners and technology professionals will be considering perhaps where the gaps are, and what technologies actually might be useful in this space. And who knows, there may just be somebody attending this conference who may take it upon themselves to go away and put something together, and it may be showcased at a future conference. So this is a really unique opportunity for those who are interested in seeing where we go in terms of technology and arbitration, to come and see what is available and hear from arbitration practitioners about what their opinions are about the impact of these technologies on arbitration. Are they actually useful? Do they make arbitrations more efficient for those using them, in terms of the arbitrators themselves and the parties involved, but also looking at their impact and their wider use in alternative dispute resolution, and not just limited to arbitration itself. So it will be a packed full agenda, but no doubt there'll be a lot to take away, and a lot of food for thought.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Amrit. I think it's also probably worth mentioning, as we sort of hinted at just now, this will come across several, at least two axes. So one of them is the different types of technology that we were talking about, the audiovisual technology, the blockchain technology, and the AI technology, and some of the showcasing of the above. But the other way this will come about is sort of in a how do you say it, conceptually sequential order of what's happening now, what is out there now, what's available now, what is on the horizon. We're referring to that as next. What's the next big thing in these areas? And then we have another category of what's further away, what's down the line 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So now, next, later. And the beauty of this is that this will be the first, obviously the first such conference that we're organizing with 4.5 and FOTA, but hopefully not the last. Our intention is to make it biennial. I believe that's the right word. I never know. I always get confused between biennial and semi-annual, but the one that's once every 2 years, anyway, rather than twice a year. Much as the ICA Congress, the International Council for Commercial Arbitration Congress, is. And in fact, astute listeners may have noticed that September 16th is the Friday before the ICA Congress begins in Edinburgh on the 19th. So the aim will be to follow ICA around the world. Next time is going to be in Hong Kong. I'm not sure what month it's going to be, but presumably in 2024, and 2026 will be decided thereafter. So our aim will be always to have something local on hand, and as the technology improves, hopefully local and virtual as well, the Friday before the Monday of the ICA Congress. And then we'll be able to test our predictions of now, next, later as the years and the conferences go by, to see what we were right about, what we were completely wrong about, what we didn't even anticipate and see on the horizon. So that should be a fun exercise. I should add also, when I said doing stuff in person and virtually, obviously we know how to do stuff virtually via 2D right now. This is, well, conferences for the past 2 years have been 2D. But what we were hoping eventually to be able to do is something that combines the in-person experience with a fully immersive experience in virtual reality, augmented reality, or whatever it is. But as you will learn, if you attend the conference, we're not there yet. We're not even close to there yet. So we will continue to be in person every 2 years. You're going to be one of the MCs or moderators at one of these panels, aren't you, Amrit?
That's correct. So I will be moderating the session on artificial intelligence, which is aptly titled Life on Mars. And it will bring together a very good group of eminent arbitration practitioners who will be considering artificial intelligence in relation to sort of everyday document searches right up until the extent of whether or not we may in fact at some point have a robot arbitrator. Of course, artificial intelligence comes in many forms, as I say, from sort of document production at one end, right across to having, even dispute resolution possibilities in the metaverse. So there's a wide sort of spectrum of discussion material there. And as I say, that usually is an area of particular interest for a lot of people in terms of the developments within AI. And I can certainly say that within the arbitration space, there appears to be quite a lot of excitement about what can be created and how we can sort of change the face of sort of arbitration. But as I say, the extent to which a robot arbitrator might actually be a reality is a question in and of itself, which requires critiquing in terms of whether that is firstly a reality, and secondly what challenges that might bring. And as I say, we have quite a number of eminent arbitration practitioners in that session who will be considering this and how sort of soon we might see something like this. Paul, you helpfully mentioned at the outset that we have a website. And you were correct in the address that you gave. It is indeed www.fotaglobal.com. And whoever may be listening to this, you're most welcome to go to the website. And we do have all of our speakers listed on there. So you'll have a good sense of who the arbitration practitioners are that will be joining us during these various sessions. And I'm sure along with us, you will be pleasantly surprised about who we'll be able to hear from in terms of considering the impact of the various technologies that we'll be looking at and hearing their thoughts on each of them.
Yeah, this is a really good group of people for all the topics that we got throughout the day, and I have to say, if there's one thing I'm really chuffed about, it's that I think and I hope we've achieved a nice balance between some really seasoned, experienced practitioners in arbitration, the sort of people who need no introduction kind of thing, and some really knowledgeable, bright, talented younger folk, sort of in the Amrit, Dhanoa vein, and others like that, who are really plugged into what's happening in these technological spaces, but also understand the ins and outs of arbitration, particularly, and can see where the two shall meet and where they shan't, or where they shouldn't. So it's going to be an awful lot of fun. Really hope you can make it. And again, it's September 16th in London at the Institute for Engineering Technology in central London. Most of the day with, of course, drinks afterward. It will be recorded for posterity, so if for some reason you don't get to make it, you'll be able to check it out, and we'll put it on a YouTube channel for you to see it, or to zoom in and out on the bits you find particularly interesting. Anything else we have to say about the conference, Amrit?
No, just that it will be particularly exciting. I don't think there's, at least in my lifetime, been anything like this before. The bringing together of technology and arbitration practitioners together in one space is particularly unique. And although it will be recorded, and that's particularly helpful, I imagine in the years to come for us to actually look back, as you say, and think how far some of the technologies we talk about, for example, this year might be in 2, 4, 6 years' time. But of course, I encourage all of you who are interested in this area to please come along in person. As we've said, there will be a showcase, so an opportunity for all attendees to get up close and personal with those exhibiting some of the technologies, so that you can actually use them yourselves, understand how they work from those people who are actually the creators behind them. And I don't think there has ever been an opportunity before for attendees at such a conference like this. So I strongly encourage you to attend, and I think I can almost certainly say you won't regret it.
Yep, I second that. There has been nothing out like this in the arbitration space. There is, and there will not be anything like this. And this will be a great opportunity for you to get a first-hand look and handle on some of this technology from the folks who've created it, not least, as well as hearing from the arbitration folks and seeing what they think of it, for better or worse, for past, for present, for future. So that's all we have for the moment. Apologies again for the time that we took between podcasts. We promise to be more diligent next time. We will hopefully, as well as making the actual conference available in some form after the fact, have some discussion and commentary arising out of it, as well as on some of the other interesting subjects that are coming out of the cases that we've been doing, to the extent that we can report on them publicly. Happily, there are some that we can report on publicly. So it's been great talking to you again, Amrit.
Yes, likewise, Paul. And as you say, we hope to make these a regular feature. And of course, there will be quite a lot for us to talk about, I think, once the conference is over. And of course, we can put together some series of podcasts to talk about sort of what the conference covered and all the interesting material that flows from that. But I think before we go, just a reminder that you can go to our website, which is www.fotaglobal.com. And as I said, there you are able to look at the agenda for the day. So a reminder of all the topics that we'll be covering, who will be joining us in terms of speakers, and of course, an opportunity there for you to purchase tickets. And I'm aware that there are still some tickets left. So don't leave it too late and make sure you attend. And we very much hope to see you there.
See you there indeed. So, and talk to you next time on the next edition of Forethoughts. Take care, everyone.